The Tom Sawyer Show on HBC TV 25 is brought to you by Jefferson Pub and Grill. Meet me at the levee for fabulous food and drinks at Jefferson Pub and Grill. Come check out their great nightly specials and limited time offer menu. Jefferson Pub and Grill. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Tom Sawyer Show here on HBC TV 25. I'm Justin Barrientos. Thanks for joining us. And Coach Sawyer, a tough loss this past weekend, but I imagine that you're feeling still pretty good about it. You're a top 5 team in the nation. You had a lead at one point, and then it kind of slipped away at the end. What's your take on the game?
Well, I'm never happy with a loss. So I'm
Right.
still angry. But, you know, we came prepared. I thought the game plan was fine. I thought that we came in and attacked that team. We had no fear. So I think we've grown in that area about, you know, being understanding that we can play at that level. And we did. And we came out fast. And on both sides of the football, we stopped them on offense. Stopped their offense in a couple drives in a row and created some turnovers and scored on our first drive, and we were rolling. And then the second quarter, we just had kind of a lull, and we lost that momentum. We had a turnover, a big hit on Jack, and a ball came out. Then they scored on the next 3 possessions, and that flipped the table. And then we came back in the second half. We scored, got right back within 1. So we came right back out in the second half and attacked again. So we're getting closer, Justin. It's a growing pain thing with our football team right now. All the little things keep sneaking up on us, and teams that are fighting through what we're fighting through, and that's young kids trying to figure out how to win big games. And now we're in them. And now we got to win them. And so, getting back home this week, it'll be a big help to us playing against a really good Upper Iowa team. But Sioux Falls is a very, very, very good program, obviously, and that quarterback they have, and Papillon is one of the best in the country. Division I prospect coming out of high school and got hurt and ended up at Sioux Falls. But he hurt us. He got after us, and it was a target that we had, and we just didn't get the job done against that kid.
All right, well, let's take a look at some highlights from the game. It was a 51-30 loss in Sioux Falls, and it was a night game. Packed stadium, from what I understand?
Yeah, they had a couple thousand people there. I mean, they don't have many students. I mean, they have 1,200 students on their campus. So as you look at that, they have brand new turf there, the biggest cougar I've ever seen in the middle of their field. But we got it going right away. A long pass there to Josh, and you can see that they have. Our defense did a good job up front, creating turnovers. We created one there. We had a pick. I mean, we had a lot of good things happening. Again, our running game, also now that's Paul Preston jumping in. He went over 100 yards again, Justin, this week, and so he's had like 5 in a row now, or 4 in a row. So did a nice job there on a little naked play. Jack Nelson again, when he has time, this is what he can do. Hit Josh in stride. Nobody in that field is going to catch him. And so it just, you always wish there was more of those. But we need to get to it. But the protection was very good. And you can see this kid doesn't look like he can throw it, but he's very accurate. And they just keep moving the sticks and moving the sticks and moving the sticks. And if you look at time of possession, they were almost at 40 minutes.
Wow.
So it's hard to you got to keep that offense off the field. And we just didn't do a good job with our 3rd downs and 4th down conversions. Just looking at some more highlights. Again, running to the football, making a big play, and creating turnovers is a lot of fun for our Warriors. And Jack Nelson again, a little pressure there, a little screen out to Paul, and you can see him work. I mean, he's just having a tremendous year. He had too many carries in the game. If you ask me, he won't say that, but he was on the field for 53 plays. So again, Papillon throwing it down, and a nice interception there by Andrew Spencer. Broke on the ball. It's like when we do things right, we could play with anybody. When we make one mistake, it seems like they're catching us. And that's where you saw we did things right. Another big tackle there. Guys did a great job in that defensive line, and a couple tackles for loss. Again, play action pass, plenty of time for Jack, and he's hitting the ball up the middle. And I think that one was to Cam Johnson. I'm not sure, but Dylan Alford's had a great game. Alan May had another good game. So our skill kids played pretty well, and that's a big touchdown by Alan May in the back of the end zone. And again, Jack Nelson put it right on top of his hands. And he's only about 120 yards from the all-time leading passer. So maybe we'll get him in here next week. He breaks the record. But another big defensive play right there. Batted that ball down. We had 3 guys. In fact, one of them was Kyle Kuhn sitting in the chair today. He had a chance to get one there, and he's really playing well for us. But another big stop by our defense. So you can see that running against that option, when we do things right, we stoned it right at the line of scrimmage, and we really played well inside the 5-yard line. One time we gave him 8 cracks at it, and we kept him out and even had to give him a second chance on a field goal. So, again, little things, keeping points off the board. But you see our guys playing. Nice run here by Paul. Guys out front blocking, and he doesn't need much space, but a very powerful kid and continuing to move in the chains here late in the game. Jack Nelson again dropping back, and took a shot right there, but put the ball right on Alan May's hands for another touchdown. So he had 2 on the day, but really played well, and it's fun to see those guys really starting to play well offensively. Again, here's one of those defensive stands right here. We did a great job, and we hold them to a field goal. They missed the field goal, but we were offsides. Oh. So, it's like one of those things that drops you to your knees. The kid gets a second chance, and he makes it, and that's what got him actually tied up to us and got it going. Another big defensive play right there at the line of scrimmage, just inside the 5-yard line. Again, going up top again, Cam Johnson. And we got Darren Beankin some work late in the game, too, actually a quarter and a half. So, Jack Nelson throws for over 300 yards and really less than 3 quarters, and Darren came in and really made some nice passes. So we need to get him some work. But as you can see, guys are making plays. Intercepting the ball, running the ball back has been fantastic.
Now, it's kind of like a broken record, but we've been talking about it week after week, and you alluded to it. Jack Nelson is getting close to the all-time yards passing leader. He also broke a couple records in the game, touchdown passes, and that. So, I mean, is there anything you put into words about the way that he's playing right now?
It's unbelievable. He's healthy, for one, and his protection is better. And you put those two things together, and then you look at the receiving core and backs. I mean, Paul Preston, is I think second in the league in all-purpose yards right now, and a lot of that is coming out of the backfield. They're dumping the ball down to him. We're tough to stop right now, but we also got to convert. And we can be a really good offense, but if you don't put it in the end zone, it doesn't matter. And the week before we were 9 for 9, basically going in the end zone. This week we didn't get into that red zone as much as we'd like. Now part of that is the defense we're playing. And now they're the second-ranked defense in our league behind Mankato, so we've got to give them credit as well. They're a very good football team, but we still control a lot of our own destiny, even throughout the rest of this year. So we got to get hot and stay hot and play 4 full quarters, and we need that same big level play on our defensive side of the football as well.
You talked about the fact that it's kind of little things that are kind of getting at your team right now. Is there any one big glaring thing that you have to work in practice, or is it just that big combination of little things?
It's still little things, Justin. It's mistakes. It sounds really fun, like, well, why don't you just teach it to them? Well, we are. But those kids, when you get the heat and they're moving, they switch formations and motions and move people around. You have to have all the people on the same page. If you look at our defensive back 7, only 2 of those guys were full-time players last year. Wow. And so all of a sudden we got different names and numbers and changes, and we're trying to reduce that package down so it becomes really simple to the guys and still complex enough where the teams aren't teeing off on you. So we're in that growth spurt, especially in that back 7, to really get them to understand where they need to be. When they're there, we have no problems, but it's the little mental mistakes that are killing us, and we continue to work on it, and we hope we get it fixed so we can run the table and see what happens at the end.
Was there anything specific that happened in the second quarter of the game against Sioux Falls that kind of put you behind?
Yeah, one was a turnover by our offense. 2 was we had a bad punt. He kicks 150 and then he kicked 9 yards. I mean, in the 9 yard, both of those, one we kept them down, then they punt it back to us. The second one, they take it 3 plays later, they're in the end zone. So I mean, those little things. But also in the second quarter is just giving up third downs. I mean, we are just killing ourselves by not getting off the football field. And and here go back to our offense, and we can score. We scored 2 drives in 3 plays. So we're getting off the field too fast, and they're staying on the field too long. So it was a bad combination. But those are the things I think are really, really hurting us right now, is the little mistakes, and they're sneaking up on us.
All right, time for maybe one more question here. Let's talk about maybe some of the positives that you had on defense against Sioux Falls. Is there anything that you saw in that game that you can build on, or that you can point to for the rest of the schedule and say, hey, we did this week?
Absolutely, and it doesn't matter who we're playing, whether it's Sioux Falls, Mankato, Upper Iowa, Crookston. It doesn't matter who you're playing. When we do it right, we're unbelievable. And what we got to do is get them right more often. And that's our responsibility, to get them there. And we're working our best at that right now. But I really think that the positive side, especially on the defensive side, is we're tackling better. We're creating turnovers. We're putting pressure on the quarterback. But in a kind of a game that we had last week with a running quarterback that's running all over the place, he's like an escape artist. But he's also 6'5" and 240 pounds. So, but if we continue to do those things right, we can stop anybody and run with anybody, but we got to do that right.
All right, well, let's hear it from the player perspective, and we'll go to the defense first. Kyle Kuhn will be the guest when we return here on the Tom Sawyer Show right after this.
Get an inside look at the Winona State football program with the Tom Sawyer Show on TV 25. brought to you by Jefferson Pub and Grill. Host Justin Barrientos sits down with the Warriors head coach each week to break down last week's game and to look ahead at WSU's next opponent, as well as chat with Winona State players. Tune in at 4:30 p.m. on Thursdays, 6 p.m. on Fridays, 7 a.m. on Saturdays, and before every Warrior home game for the Tom Sawyer Show on HBC. Brought to you by Jefferson Pub and Grill.
Join HBC Sports' Extra Point one-camera coverage of high school football and soccer throughout the fall, presented by Lewiston Auto. In addition to our Football Night Crew broadcasts, Extra Point will bring you 8 games from the gridiron and 9 games from the pitch. For the full slate of games, simply visit hbci.com/sports to find out when your team will be on the field. That's Extra Point coverage of HBC Sports presented by Lewiston Auto, all fall, only on TV 25.
And welcome back to the Tom Sawyer Show here on HBC TV 25. Well, Coach, we talked a lot about defense in that first segment, and now you have a member of your secondary with us.
Yeah, Kyle Kuhn is here with us. And Kyle, thanks for coming down today. I appreciate it. And, we were talking a lot about that defense and getting things right. What do you think is the number one thing that, like he asked me, the number one thing that we need to really do in that backside, in that secondary?
As far as the secondary goes, I think it's a matter of getting 4 correct assignments each play. There's a lot going on. There's motions, there's formations, there's not tipping our hand early, and it all comes down to, as long as we do 4 correct assignments and work together. I mentioned it to Justin earlier that we were talking about, new guys playing with each other. You've really kind of sat out over a 2-year period due to some pretty nasty injuries, and now we're healthy and you're having some fun out there. What adjustment has that been for you, Kyle, to work with players that are new and you haven't really worked with that much? You get familiar with them in spring ball. We got a few transfer guys, Eric and Vegas, out there, and it just comes down to, you hang out outside the football field, you get familiar with each other, and it just becomes second nature once you're out there. It's just like you're having fun like you are at home or whatever you're doing.
Okay.
I want to expand a little on what Coach said about the fact that you have overcome some injuries. When you first stepped on the field in college, I understand that your head was kind of spinning a little bit because the speed of the game was a lot different from college or from high school to college. And we've heard people talk about that all the time, but can you explain how that was like for you? I mean, what exactly was different?
For me, coming out of a small Division 5 high school out of Wisconsin to D2 football, it's like watching football in 100 times fast forward. Coming in freshman year, seeing guys like Curtis Dewberry and guys that are extremely fast. It's night and day from out of high school. So it's that learning curve that you have to get over. And once you get familiar with, once you know your assignment, you move faster, and then once you get that down, the game speed just becomes slow.
I was going to kind of talking on that same area, but you're also one of our top academic students in the program. And how do you really try to balance all that? So you're trying to catch up with the speed of the game. You're trying to understand, midterm exams and then final exams, and now here you are, really as a junior starting to look at, putting all that together. But how difficult is it to manage all of it?
Honestly, sometimes I feel like I'm a circus show. I'm juggling blindfolded. I mean, it all comes down to, you sit down in the morning, you say, here are my priorities, and I have to get this done, I might not be able to study for biochem until, 11 o'clock at night because I have 2 hours of film that I need to watch. So, things have to get done. Sometimes you have to sacrifice sleep. Sometimes you can't make a nice meal. You just got to eat a TV dinner or a frozen pizza, just because there's things that need to be done.
I don't know if Coach really wants to hear that, but let's talk a little bit about the academic side. Cell and molecular biology, I believe, is your major.
Yes,
How did you get involved in that, and what do you want to do with that in the future?
I knew that I wanted to do something into the medical field, and came in thinking I wanted to be a general practitioner. Decided, dentistry was the route that I wanted to go, and haven't really looked back since. And that's the route that I want to pursue is dentistry.
Mm-hmm. The last question I have for you, Kyle, is coming in. Like I said last night in practice, so we have 3 out of the next 4 games at home. What do we have to do to really get each other inspired to play great at Maxwell Field?
I think it first starts with, we need to hold each other accountable And we've been talking about that. You know, we're gonna sit down and we're gonna start saying, hey, you know, we need to do this. And you know, the excitement level's up. There's guys that, you know, they're spark plugs for us, and they create excitement. And you know, the excitement level, it's a thing that, you know, the defense says juice. You know, that's our trigger word. And so when we say juice to each other, you know, we get hyped, and that's, you know, the excitement level in practice carries over onto the field, I think. And you know, those are the things that we've really been stressing.
Sure.
So your opponent is Upper Iowa this week, and from what I understand, when you played Upper Iowa in 2013, you had a block punt, or you recovered a block punt and ran it back for a touchdown. Can you tell me a little bit about that play?
It was, I think
it's on a permanent loop on his computer. Right?
It was, I believe Tyler Swinford and Mitch Lunder blocked it.
Yeah.
And, you know, took a lucky bounce right into my arms, and I hit the end zone, and I was so excited. You know, I don't know a single moment in my life where I've been that excited. And I kind of just blacked out, you know, got there, turned the corner, and I saw Coach Barton, and he kind of jumped up. He was excited. He hit me, and I don't know if he made me black out again because he hit me so hard or what, but I remember standing on the sidelines, and one of my best friends, you know, Jordan Wire, just nudged me, and he goes, dude, you just scored a touchdown. I was like, what? They hadn't hit me yet. I was so excited for that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I hope we get to call your name again this week in something that exciting. So congratulations on that, and good luck this week against Upper Iowa.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a break here on the Tom Sawyer Show, and when we come back, we'll talk with Eric Berth, running back, right here on the Tom Sawyer Show.
We chose HBC because they're a local company. They have a big audience in Winona, which is the geographic group that we're looking for. Mel is very easy to work with. She's genuinely concerned about how our money is being spent, and she does everything she can to make sure we get the most for our money. She takes care of us. So whenever there's a problem, which is rarely, I know that I can go to her and she's going to take care of it.
To see how HBC advertising can help your company, call Melanie at 507-474-5802.
Tune in for the Sports Buzz every Tuesday at 5:30 as a panel of local sports journalists tackle the hottest topics on everything from local high school and collegiate sports to regional discussion about the Twins, Brewers, Vikings, and Packers. With the Power Play Fantasy Football Challenge to the Rant of the Week and NFL Pick'em, the Sports Buzz is fast-paced and sure to entertain. That's new episodes of the Sports Buzz every Tuesday at 5:30 with replays only on HBC TV 25. And welcome back to the Tom Sawyer Show here on HBC TV 25. Coach, time now for a familiar name to Winona football fans.
Yeah, the old Windhawk here and now Warrior, Eric Berth. And Eric, thanks for being here.
No problem.
Yeah, you know, it's pretty exciting. Obviously, we got a lot of fun things going on around Winona, but really fun for us to have Eric with us. And why don't you just quick tell the folks what your journey has been through the last year and a half since you left the field at Paul Gill and now on the field at Maxwell. How'd you do that and how'd you get here?
Well, I had to go to RCTC for a year, Rochester Community College, get my grades up, and then, you know, just made my way back to Winona, and then, you know.
What's it like to be a Winona kid, involved as much as you are at, you know, with the Windhawks? Still in the summer, you work out with them and those kind of things, but what's it like for a Winona kid to now that you're in college, but you're still in your hometown?
Actually, I really like it, you know, being like having my family here, having people like that help me get here, still here. It's worked out a lot for me, like. Then I also have like cousins at Winona Senior High on the football team too. So, you know, having them look up to me, being at Winona State, playing, like coming to the games and everything. So,
one of the questions, one more I have for you is the old Windhawks, and I know how excited we all are for the year that they're having, and wish them well and continued success. But you work out with those guys all the time, and I know you're close to Coach Casilius and stuff. But just tell us and give them a little pump here about how excited you are for the Windhawks.
Oh, I'm ecstatic about it. It's just, it's been a long time since they've been this good. So, you know, like I've been going to the games, watching them. Just being around that team, it's helped me out too. Like being at Winona State, I don't know, it's been crazy how crazy their season's going right now.
Good.
Let's get back to just a second about going to Rochester. I understand that no one asked you to go to RCTC to get your grades up. It was something that you went on your own. Yeah. When did you decide to do that?
Right after the season, actually, knowing that like my grades weren't good enough to get into Winona State right away. It was one of my biggest things that I really wanted to do. Like playing college football was has been my dream for like forever since like, since I first started playing football. So like knowing that they wanted me to come there just really helped me out too. So that was my, that's what pushed me.
And then you didn't play for our CTC for their football team. You wanted to save all your eligibility for the Warriors. How hard was that for you to be in college, to be in school, and not be able to play football?
Oh, it was extremely hard. Like football has been everything to me since I was little. So not playing has been hard. But
the other question I have is, you look at, in the backfield, we got Paul Preston, we got Elliot Cox, we got Eric Berth. We're running a 3-man deal here. Yeah. In some games we're getting more carries than others, and that's a struggle for all of us, including the running back coach. But what do you think you have to do to take that next step to get more carries and be more involved with the Warrior offense?
For me, I really think I need to work on staying healthy. That's what's one of my biggest issues with my shoulders, and then also my pass blocking. Like that's one of the hardest things for me right now because in high school I barely ever pass blocked. Like my senior season, I ended the season with I think 190 some carries, so I was barely ever blocking. So that's what I think my biggest issue is. So.
We also put in now the last few weeks we've put in a 2-back system. So now we got you in the field and Paul at the same time, and it's like Paul in open space and you're doing your thing. How fun is that for the running back group?
I think we all love it. It's what we've all been looking for. Both having 2 backs on the field. It's really I don't know how to really say it, but I think it really helps us out. Because we're both able to do different things. Paul, little scat back, I think probably the fastest back out of all of us. And then me, who was more like a power back. So, I hit the middle, Paul gets outside, and then it really helps us out.
Okay.
I'm going to take you back to the second game of the season. It was the home opener for Winona State. You had friends and family in the stands, and you score a touchdown. What was that like?
Oh, well, it's been a while since I ever touched the end zone. So, it was crazy. I didn't, when I got in, I was so shocked that I didn't know what to do. I kind of just threw the ball over my head, and I kind of just looked at the crowd. It was like, wow, I'm in the end zone again. It's been a while, so it was a great moment for me.
Can you talk a little bit about the time away from football and then coming back? We talked with Kyle Kuhn about the speed of the game and the transition. Did you have that same kind of realization?
Oh, I did, yeah. Coming to Winona and seeing how fast the defense was, it was really hard for me. Being away and then not not carrying the ball for a while, it was really hard. It seemed like everybody was moving and I don't even know how it was. Warp speed. It was crazy. But then coming back this year, it slowed down for me a lot. So.
We got, I asked Kyle, 3 out of 4 games at home. I know your family will be around, and playoff time, and around the high schools is happening. It's a fun time of football. What do the Warriors have to do to really get it cooking here in our 3 out of 4 games here at home?
I think for our offense, I think it's just we need to maintain drives more. We last game we kind of had a couple 3-and-outs. I think we just need to stay calm and just keep doing what we do. Just keep running the ball, keep passing the ball.
As the offensive line has matured, how has that helped our running game, especially for you? Running the zone game. Those guys are maturing week by week by week. How important has that been?
It's actually been really important. That's one of our that's our biggest thing for our offense. Running the ball because that helps out Jack. So
Good balance.
Yep.
Okay.
Can you talk a little bit about running with Paul Preston in the backfield? We've had him on here before, but some of the things that he's able to do on the field, just kind of amazing. What can you learn from watching him be in the backfield?
Oh, watching him, he's a patient guy. When there's not holes there, he's patient. He just comes out of nowhere. He'll find a hole out of nowhere and just pop out of it. And I think that helps me out too. Trying to be more patient because I just want to get the ball and go. So with him, just watching that, and then some of the moves that he makes, some people, it's I don't know how he does it, but it helps me out. I'm trying to figure out some of the moves that he's doing, so that I could bring it to my own repertoire. So
Somebody mentioned to me the other day that it was somebody had the controller and just moving Paul and he spins, that kind of stuff. Last question I have for you, Eric, is for you personally. Growing up here, being a part of the Warriors, what do you want to see really take place in your future here as a Warrior?
I want to see us get to the national championship. That's what my biggest thing is here. I want to be a part of that. I want to be one of the main guys to help get us that far. So.
Okay.
All right, Eric. Thank you for joining us here today, and good luck this week against Upper Iowa.
Yep.
All right, and thank you for joining us here. We're going to take a little break on the Tom Sawyer Show, and we're going to talk about that Upper Iowa game coming up in just a moment.
Look at the bras on that. a hog, man.
HBC Sports is your exclusive home for Winona State soccer and volleyball for the 2015 season. Whether you prefer spikes and sets on the court or goals and saves on the pitch, if it's happening with Warriors volleyball or soccer, HBC has you covered. For the full broadcast schedule, simply visit hbci.com/sports to find out when each match will be featured live. That's Winona State soccer and volleyball all season long, only on TV 25.
And welcome back to the Tom Sawyer Show here on HBC TV 25. As we said, Upper Iowa is your opponent this week. They're 4-2, but they're a very good team, very good passing team, and a very good defensive team as well. Any similarities between them and Sioux Falls, your opponent from last year?
Very, very similar in a couple ways. One is their defensive aggressiveness is about the same. They have a good defensive front. They got an All-American linebacker. They have a couple secondary kids, 2 seniors that have been playing obviously for a long time. But their quarterback is a new kid. Morales is a transfer from a junior college out in California, and they have a freshman running back. So they're a little bit less skilled, and maybe not less skilled, but different at those 2 positions than they have been in the past. But they can put up numbers fast. They're a fast-playing team. I mean, they turn over plays at a rapid rate, and they're a short, quick passing game. Very kind of the pro style from the West Coast that you see. It's very much what they do. And but Morales is good. He's accurate, and he puts the ball on it, and we just got to find ways to disrupt that.
Yeah, Morales, 1,866 yards passing, 13 touchdowns, 5 interceptions this season. They are definitely pass first. Their main running back, I think, only has like 200 or 300 yards. So is there anything that you can key in on in this offense, since you kind of know they're going to throw the ball a lot?
Yeah, well, first of all, you got to take away their immediate threat, and that is, 3-step drop, passing game. And so they are balls out. I mean, it's hard to blitz it because the ball's out before you get there. And so we have to have, good pressure from the front 3 or 4 that we're bringing, and then we have to give him different pictures to throw at. And what I mean by that is different alignments, different coverages, mix up our schemes, so he doesn't get comfortable seeing the same picture all the time, because he's good enough to handle it, and if you give him the same shots, he's going to throw the same ball over and over and over. And they're a repeat type of a team, but he's also very good at it.
You talked a little bit about their defense. They give up less than 100 yards rushing a game, less than 200 yards passing a game. But obviously, you're a potent, high-power offense. What do you need to do against their defense?
Yeah, we need to be explosive. We need to have some big plays. We need to get Eric Berth and we need to get Paul Preston out and running, which frees up our play-action pass game. And we have to have some strikes down the field. That's something that we just do well. Whether it's Josh Mikas, Dylan Alferts, Alan May on those crossers, we have got to make them play the whole field, and we have to stress the entire field. So we can't be conservative. We have got to get after them, and at the same time, convert third downs and take care of the ball. And that's kind of a oxymoron sometimes, because it's like you want to score fast, but you don't want them on the field.
Right.
So 12-minute plays or 12-minute drives would be kind of nice. Not going to happen.
Yeah.
So we have to just, when we create a turnover, we got to score on it, and that's where you get those extra possessions that can really hurt you.
Their defense has 9 interceptions so far this season. Have you seen anything on tape that tells you how they're able to read the passes?
Well, yeah, some have been forced balls, some of it has been pressured, and some tip balls. All of that, but they're very good, and it's not different than what we've seen. And we saw the same kind of defense last week. We had one of the best corners in the country playing, and he didn't pick any balls off on us. So we just got to be careful with the football. And Jack doesn't throw a lot of picks. So if you look at who they've played and where they're getting their interceptions, I think last week they had like 3 or 4 in one game. So that adds up pretty fast. But we have got to stay away from making bad choices, being late down the middle and so on, and read the coverage and put the ball where the defense allows you to.
One of the things you talked about with Eric Berth was that you've installed the 2-back offense.
Yeah.
What was the reason for that?
Exactly what Eric said. We want to have both weapons on the field. One of the things that we tried to do earlier in the year is be 11 personnel, 3 wide receivers, a tight end, and a back, and Paul Preston is doing his work, but we also need a guy that can pound it inside. And so once Eric started getting healthy here, and now this week he's really had a good week of practice already, so he's a kid that we're looking for. So you got one doing one dimension, you got one doing another dimension, and then you got Jack Nelson doing his. It really becomes a 3-headed backfield instead of 2-dimensional. Now we're 3-dimensional, and it should really balance up our attack.